Welcome to Sodom, where shame goes to die and pleasure never uses protection. The city's official motto, probably something like, if it feels good, do it. If it kills you, even better. Here, an orgy isn't an event, it's the breakfast menu. Gender is optional, clothing is discouraged, and your dignity, please, check it at the gate, next to the guy flogging himself for tips. You're not special, you're just new meat. You wake up on a cushion that smells like sweat, cinnamon, and what you sincerely hope is incense. There's silk under your back, and something furry against your thigh, hopefully a blanket. Hopefully, the ceiling above you is painted with gods doing things you were pretty sure were illegal even for gods. One of them's winking at you. To your left, someone's passed out with a smile on their face and a bite mark on their neck. To your right, a goblet lies on its side, dripping something purple onto a rug shaped like a screaming face. There's music, not the gentle harp and lie kind. More like the kind that makes your blood thrum and your morals sweat. Drums, flutes, moaning. Some of it musical. A woman, or possibly a man, sashays past you wearing nothing but a jeweled mask and ankle bells. They step over your legs like you're a piece of furniture, toss a fig into their mouth and wink. You hear them laugh as they disappear into another room. You think they were covered in gold dust. You think you might be too. A curtain pulls back in front of you, revealing a hallway lit in red and shadow. It pulses, not with candlelight, with people, moving, breathing, touching. You catch glimpses skin on skin, hands in places you forgot existed. A man on a swing being painted by a woman using her tongue. The walls are wet. You're not sure why. Someone stumbles past you carrying a platter of fruit, and what might be a severed peacock head. They're singing, badly. Behind them, a goat walks on marble floors like it owns the place, wearing a necklace of pearls and zero context. You finally sit up. Mistake. Your head spins. Not hangover spin. This is something else. The kind of spin you get after inhaling a room where 6 different aphrodisiacs have been burned and someone just sneezed out powdered lotus. The air is heavy, and sweet, and wrong. Someone leans in next to you. Sharp jawline, red lips, eyes like smoke trapped in glass. They smile. First time. They purr. You blink. Your mouth opens. No sound comes out. They pat your cheek. Don't worry. That feeling. That's just your conscience trying to claw its way out. It gets tired eventually. They giggle and vanish into a pile of cushions that might also be people. Hard to tell. The cushions groan. In pleasure, pain. Again hard to tell. You get to your feet. Or try to. Your legs have the structural integrity of wet parchment. You wobble toward the hallway. Every step is a new sensory violation. You pass a room where 3 people are suspended from the ceiling by ropes made of braided hair. One's singing, one's crying, one's reciting laws. Nobody's listening. In another alcove, a woman whispers poetry into a man's ear while carving something into his chest with a feather. You look away, not because it's disturbing, but because you feel like it's rude to stare. There are no doors here, just veils, thin, translucent. Laughing doesn't stop when you pass them, neither does moaning. Somewhere someone shouts, again, and is met with applause. A servant or a priest, or someone in between, offers you a drink. It's blue. It fizzes. It smells like mint and menace. You say no. They shrug and down it themselves, eyes rolling back in bliss. You finally reach the courtyard. If it can be called that, it's more of a stage, ringed with columns shaped like writhing bodies. Realistic ones. Too realistic. In the center is a pool. Not water. Something thicker, redder. A man floats in it, laughing hysterically. He's surrounded by dancers, all of them naked, all of them painted silver. They move like liquid, like smoke, like sin learning to waltz. A boy runs past you holding a bowl of grapes and a severed doll head. He laughs and shouts, "I'm the king now," before jumping into the pool. Nobody stops him. Overhead, the sky is pink, not the romantic kind, the kind that makes you think something's burning somewhere, and nobody cares. You hear a voice behind you, low, smooth, dangerous. "Do you want to leave?" it asks. You turn. The figure is tall, elegant, and impossibly clean in a place where even the air feels sticky. They wear white, perfect white. No stains, no wrinkles, just calm, cold detachment. You try to answer. Again, nothing comes out. They smile. Don't worry, you will. Then they vanish into the crowd. Someone throws a rose at your feet. It hisses and wilts on impact. Welcome to Sodom. You're not a guest. You're not a pilgrim. You're not even a person anymore. Your appetite in skin. And the city's very, very hungry. It's not a brothel. It's a belief system. You don't walk into the house of excess. You're absorbed. It starts with a threshold. No door, just two naked figures holding curtains of bronze chains. They don't check your name. They don't ask if you're worthy. They look you over like a piece of fruit at the market, smile without warmth, and gesture inward as if to say, go on, get ruined. The floor is marble, or something pretending to be. It's warm underfoot, too warm, probably from the braziers, or the bodies, or both. The air is thick with incense and something sticky sweet, like honey left out too long, or rot dipped in perfume. The first room is a garden but not for plants. Every flower is silk, every vine wraps around a body. There's music, real music, this time. A slow aching rhythm made for hips, not hearts. You see people dancing, but it's more accurate to say undulating. One couple spins entwined in fabric and limbs. Another trio kisses like they're starving, and each other's faces are the last meal on earth. No one wears much. A few wear masks. Fewer wear nesks. Fewer wear dignity. On a raised platform in the center, a figure lies back on a chaise, surrounded by admirers. Male, female, both, neither, you're not sure. Their skin is golden, their eyes like oil lamps, and they're feeding someone fruit with fingers that linger too long on lips. Every time they exhale, someone nearby moans. A woman walks past you, nude except for a necklace made of teeth, and a pair of sandals that cost more than your self-respect. She stops, sniffs you, and frowns. New, she asks. You nod, or blink. It's unclear. She tuts and walks away, muttering, fresh meat, never seasons well. You keep going. The second chamber is darker. The walls pulse with candlelight and shadows. Bodies move in knots, intertwined like roots, like rituals. You hear gasps, sighs, giggles, sobs. You catch glimpses. A man being painted with molten wax. A woman reciting a love poem while riding someone's back. Two androgynous figures kissing in a fountain full of red wine. The smell here is alive. You try to look away, but the room won't let you. Eyes meet yours. Not hostile, not welcoming, just hungry. A server probably appears beside you with a tray. On it, a pipe, a cluster of figs, a vial of something glowing, and a rolled scroll tied with a ribbon. You point to the scroll. Contract of consent. The server says sweetly, sign it, and no one needs to ask first. You don't take it. They shrug and offer it to someone else. They take it. With teeth, you stumble deeper into the house. In one corner, a person is blindfolded and spinning slowly, while others take turns whispering lies into their ears. The blindfolded figure smiles wider with each whisper. In another, a woman lays naked on a marble slab, while artists paint verses onto her skin. One of them weeps as he writes. Another giggles and says, the ink tastes like regret. There's a mirror, tall, gilded. You stand before it. It doesn't show your reflection. Instead, you see yourself as they see you: desirable, corruptible, eager. You look away. You reach a room filled with cushions and smoke. Laughter drips from the ceiling like condensation. A few people invite you with fingers, with glances, with the way their legs fold. You don't move. Someone pats the space next to them. You sit. They hand you a drink. It's not wine. It's something colder, mint and something darker. Something like forgetting. You sip. It tastes like silk pulled too tight. Don't worry, someone murmurs beside you. Nobody remembers their first sin here, but everyone remembers their favorite. You let your head fall back. The ceiling is painted with stars that pulse like breathing. Someone is singing in a language that might not exist. It doesn't matter. The notes wind through your chest like silk ropes. You feel a hand on yours, another on your neck. A kiss lands on your shoulder. You don't know whose it is. You don't care. Time passes. Or doesn't. In Sodom, now stretches. Eventually, you rise, shakily. You're not sure how long you've been here. Your legs know more sin than your memory. Your lips taste like strangers. As you leave the room, someone calls after you. You'll be back. You all come back. Nobody leaves hungry. You step through a curtain made of bones. Literal bones. Behind it, a new hallway begins. This one smells of roasted meat, old coins, and something metallic. You hear crowds shouting. laughter, applause. You've left the house of excess. You've entered the streets between sins, where the marketplace smells like roasted flesh and performance anxiety. The sun never rises in Sodom, it just watches, a low bloated orb crawling across the sky like a hungover eye, glaring down at everything and judging no one. Because really, what's the point? You step out from the house of excess, and onto the open street. If you can call it that, it's less a street and more an open-air confession booth that never closes. The ground is mosaic, chipped images of gods mid-thrust and saints mid-fall. You're pretty sure one tile shows a man marrying a swan, another, two men sharing a tongue, not a kiss, a literal tongue, a boy with silver paint on his face, and nothing else skips past you, trailing ribbons soaked in wine. He shouts something about a puppet show with real sinners, and disappears behind a stall where someone is selling candied eyes on skewers. You don't ask whose eyes. You suspect the seller wouldn't know either. The marketplace is alive, in the wrong way. To your left, a woman lies on a bed of furs, smoking from a pipe shaped like a serpent, eating its own tail. She calls out, "Fresh lovers, one night only, guaranteed climax or your soul back." A customer approaches, inspecting her as if she's a melon. They haggle, loudly, over acts, not prices. To your right, a man screams the word repent, while juggling 3 doves and a severed finger. No one listens. A group of children pelts him with figs and giggles. He likes it rough. He does. You pass a vendor selling masks, not for disguise, for identity. Each one has a label: rage, greed, desire, shame, limited edition. The vendor leans toward you, whispering, "Boy 2, get your first regret free." Somewhere nearby, a trumpet blasts, badly. A parade slithers into view. Yes, slithers. Half the participants are crawling. Painted dancers on leashes. Priests with body paint reading "Touch Me." In ancient runes, one man rides a pig wearing a crown, and throwing coins to the crowd. People cheer. Children cheer. The pig oinks in Latin. Behind them a float glides by, a writhing sculpture of limbs, maybe real, maybe not. On it, someone dressed in gold chants poetry, while being whipped with peacock feathers. Someone else fans them with a dead swan. A woman grabs your arm. Her nails are filed into tiny letters that spell out "Kiss Me." Her breath smells like clove and confessions. "You look new," she says. "Want a map?" You blink. She laughs. "There isn't one. Just walk until you forget where you started." She lets go, leaving a smudge of glitter and bite marks on your forearm. You pass an alley where a group gathers around a man bound to a pole. He's not screaming, he's singing. People toss coins and fruit, some in praise, some out of arousal, some, both. A sign above him reads "Public Shame Theatre, matinee and midnight showings." Another alley, quieter. You see a girl sketching on the wall with coal. Her drawing, a tower in flames. She turns to you, and says matter of fact, "This place is going to die, you know." Then she smiles and adds, "But not before dinner." You keep moving. The smell changes. More smoke now, more sweat, fewer perfumes, more iron. The entertainment here is rougher, bloodier. You pass a circle of onlookers watching 2 men wrestle naked in ash. A priest officiates the match, reciting erotic hymns while someone takes bets. You turn a corner, and find yourself in a quieter square, still crowded, but intentional. Here people perform for invisible judges. A man recites love poems to a mannequin. A woman sings into a jar, her voice shaking the glass. A young man slices open his own chest and arranges flower petals inside the wound. The crowd claps politely. Nobody wins. Nobody stops. You sit on a fountain rim shaped like a weeping lion. Water drips from its eyes into your lap. Someone offers you a dried date. It smells like wine and disappointment. You chew it anyway. Just then a bell tolls. Somewhere distant, flat and dull. Everyone pauses, just for a moment. A twitch, a breath. Then everything resumes. Faster, louder, like they remembered they're being watched. You stand. The street pulses again. You're sweating though you don't know why. You're not hot. You're not cold. You're not you. Not really. Not anymore. You hear someone say, "It's almost time." You don't ask what they mean. You already feel it in your bones. Like the city knows something you don't. Or worse, that it knows exactly what you are. And it's amused. One moment, you're walking past a man playing a harp with someone else's ribs. The next, you're standing before an archway shaped like a gaping mouth, carved in marble that looks far too organic. Its tongue is the stairway. Its teeth, decorative, probably.
A plaque at the entrance reads, "Sanctuary of Holy Flesh. All acts welcomed, all bodies worshipped, all guilt optional." Someone has scrawled under it, "Bring oil." You descend, slowly. The light dims, the air thickens, your breath catches, not from fear, not from anticipation, from the smoke, the scent, the presence.
At the bottom, the temple opens like a wound. It's vast, endless, a cathedral turned inside out. Every column is sculpted like a spine. The walls are covered in murals, scenes of desire, painted not with brushes, but with fingers. You can tell, you can feel it. Orgies, sacrifices, people worshipping themselves, each other, shadows, animals, things with too many limbs and not enough faces. The ceiling moves. No, not moves, breathes. In the center is the altar, wide, low, stained with things that are definitely not wine. A woman lays upon it, naked, but adorned in gold wire and flower petals. She is motionless, eyes closed, chest rising in slow, ecstatic rhythm. Around her, 4 priests chant, naked, except for masks of bone and rope belts tied in complex, unnecessary knots. Their voices are low, melodic, soaked in lust and reverence. They don't chant scripture, they chant instructions. Touch what trembles, bite what blesses, sacrifice softly, then scream. People kneel around them. Some pray, some touch themselves. Some offer gifts, jewelry, blood, locks of hair, forbidden letters. One man cuts his palm and writes the name of an ex-lover on the floor. It hisses. Someone laughs. You move like you're drugged. You probably are. The temple air is laced with something smoky and ancient. It coils in your lungs and unwraps your inhibitions with loving cruelty. You're offered a chalice by a priest. Inside, thick liquid, dark red, smells like cloves and nostalgia. He smiles. Drink, become worthy. You drink. Of course you do. Warmth floods you, not comfort. Heat, hue, vibration in your teeth. Like your bones are remembering something your mind never knew. Your knees give out. Someone catches you, or you fall into them. It doesn't matter. You're brought forward, not dragged, escorted, worshipped, like something rare, like a new book to be read, or a fruit too ripe to resist. The priestess on the altar opens her eyes. They're all pupil, no white, bottomless. She looks through you, into you, around you. You are unmarked, she whispers. Not yet. The priest beside you murmurs, hands on your shoulders, a voice in your ear. This isn't punishment, it's permission. You're guided to kneel. They bless you with oil, warm, spiced, glittering. It drips down your spine and soaks into your skin like memory. The crowd chants now, a low, undulating sound, like breathing, like moaning in harmony. You are not alone, you are not judged, you are not quite you anymore. Someone kisses your back, another draws symbols on your arms with the tip of a knife that barely breaks skin. Then you're asked a question, not aloud, just felt, echoing in the back of your skull. What do you worship? You don't answer, you don't need to. The temple already knows. It hums around you, satisfied. The priestess begins to sing, wordless, aching notes that slide through your ribs like silk blades. The room pulses. People begin to move, not in prayer, in offering. A couple beside you intertwines, not lust, reverence. Their hands are altars, their mouths, sermons. They make devotion look indecent and sacred at the same time. To your right, a man levitates. No one questions it. To your left, someone weeps with joy while being tattooed by a nun whose ink glows blue in the dark. You watch, you breathe. You are part of the ritual now. You close your eyes, and the city whispers your name. When you emerge from the temple, hours or lifetimes later, your skin glistens, your throat is raw, and you're not sure if you've just committed a sin or become one. A child watches you from a doorway. Did you meet the God? They ask. You nod. They smile and say, then he met you too. You're guided, no herded, into a courtyard shaped like a bowl of gold. Every tile glimmers with mosaics. People feasting, gorging, choking, smiling through the blood. You step carefully. The floor is sticky, probably from wine, hopefully from wine. This is the grand table, Sodoma's most sacred meal and least coherent gathering. The rule, eat, drink, be magnificent, or leave. Long tables snake across the space like dragons mid-feast. No assigned seats. You sit where you fit, where you're wanted, or where someone dares you. A servant approaches, entirely nude except for a silver tray and a collar that reads, "Ask nicely." They bow and place before you a bowl filled with pomegranate seeds, soaked in something that steams. Your nose says honey, your brain says danger. You eat one, your tongue tingles, your heart races, your memories rearrange themselves alphabetically. Someone across from you slams a goblet down and bellows, "To the last man I kissed, may he rot, but never forget me." Cheers erupt. To your left, a woman feeds her lover grapes from her toes. He weeps openly. To your right, a person dressed entirely in snakeskin whispers, "Do you want to try the roasted phoenix? It's not real. That's what makes it sacred." Servants whirl between tables with trays stacked high, candied crickets dipped in spiced honey, peacocks stuffed with figs, garlic, and narcotics bread dyed red with beet juice and, you're pretty sure, blood. A cheese so pungent it has its own name and cult following. Wine, always wine, in goblets shaped like moaning mouths. No dish is subtle, no flavor is gentle. Everything here tastes like excess. Either you eat with abandon, or you are the appetizer. A trumpet sounds, the bad kind, off-key, triumphant, dangerous. From the marble steps a figure descends, tall, plumed, perfumed, part host, part monarch, part hallucination. The crowd roars. Valora, queen of the feast. She raises her arms. Her dress is made entirely of fruit skins and melted wax. Her crown drips with syrup and sin. Her voice is soft and deadly. Eat with lust, drink with fire, and if you must vomit, do it artfully. A man chokes on laughter and chicken bones simultaneously. He survives, barely. A game begins. Taste and truth. You're handed a cube of jelly. It glows faintly green. The person next to you, covered in feathers and ash, leans in and whispers, "It's made from the glands of liars." You eat it. You remember something. A kiss you regret. A death you enjoyed. You're not sure which came first. You blink. Everyone at the table is staring at you. You laugh. So do they. Someone starts a toast. To the city with no future and no shame. Goblets rise. Wine splashes. A woman across the table throws her ring into a bowl of soup and shouts, "I renounce marriage." Her husband claps. Finally, laughter. More food. A servant offers you a skewer of meat. It smells divine. You take a bite. They lean in. "That was philosopher. He talked too much." You chew slower. Down the table, a man is painting his own chest with mustard and letting strangers lick it off. Beside him, a pair of twins are eating directly from each other's mouths. An older man offers to carve you a poem into an apple. If you promise to eat it with your eyes closed, you do. It tastes like poetry. Sweet, rotten, and too honest. Someone climbs the table, naked, oiled, holding a fish in one hand and a scroll in the other. "I declare this feast legally divine," he cries. Then he slips on a chicken wing and knocks over a wine urn the size of a horse. The crowd erupts in cheers, or pity, or arousal, hard to tell. The queen laughs. She claps once and dessert arrives. Gold-dusted plums, honey-glazed hearts, candles made of sugar and regret. And in the center, a cake shaped like the city itself. Tiny towers, walls, gardens, all edible. You take a bite from a mini temple. It tastes like incense and forgotten prayers. As you lick your fingers, a voice beside you says, "It's all going to burn, you know." You turn. The person is gone. Only a half-full goblet remains, and the distinct smell of ashes. The meal ends not with silence, but with music that makes your skin crawl and hips move. Dancers pour into the courtyard. Some are professionals, most are drunk, all are gorgeous in the way only doomed things can be. The queen stands. "Now that you've fed your hunger," she says, "go feed the city. Be decadent, be dangerous, be remembered." You rise, your stomach full, your mind swimming, your soul somewhere between dessert and surrender. You step into the night, and Sodoma opens its arms wider. The sun is high, so are you, and nobody's wearing pants. You step into a courtyard washed in golden heat, and the kind of silence that only follows intense screaming and several mild overdoses. Everything is slower now, smoother, as if the city itself is sighing, lying back, and lazily spreading its limbs to the afternoon haze. The air smells like hot sugar, skin and sandalwood. You walk through puddles of shade, and leftover lust, past couches where people doze, cuddle, or argue in low moans. A woman lounges on a divan,
with two men curled against her thighs like loyal dogs. One of them is unconscious, the other is crying softly while fanning her with a palm frond. In Sodom, this counts as rest. You spot someone asleep under a tree. They're naked except for a crown of grapes, and a sign that says, "Wake me with your worst idea." You almost do, you don't, someone else already did. Their sandals are still smoldering. Further ahead, the street turns into a makeshift lounge, cushions everywhere, musicians napping on their lutes, a naked man playing chess against a cat. The cat is winning. Nobody questions it. You sit beneath a hanging garden, dripping with vines and soft laughter. Someone beside you passes a clay pipe that smells like crushed flowers and sin. You take a drag. Your lungs fill with velvet. Your thoughts loosen like undone corsets. Next to you, a group begins what can only be described as a very affectionate argument. "You're too beautiful to exist." "Then help me melt. I'll bite off your ears. Only if you purr after." They collapse into kisses, limbs and egos tangled. A priestess walks by wearing a crown of moths, and a tunic made of nothing but words, each one stitched in crimson thread. Bliss, bite, big, again. She stops beside you, strokes your hair once and murmurs, "You're almost ready." Then she vanishes between the sheets of a nearby cabana, followed by music and moaning that somehow harmonize. On the balcony above, two women paint each other with gold paste while debating philosophy. You catch a piece. "If gods made us in their image," one says, "they must be very tired by now." The other dips her brush and replies, "Good, let them sleep through the fire." Below, a girl with eyes too old for her body sells daydreams from a tray, little glass bottles sealed with wax. You ask her what they do. She smiles and says, "Open it, and you'll remember a life you never lived." Some people scream, others cry. "One man tried to marry me." You buy one. You don't open it. Not yet. Time slips. You lie down. The cushions are cool and smell like rosewater and someone else's sweat. Maybe yours. A shadow passes. You open your eyes. A man floats by. Actually floats. Reclined in mid-air. A goblet in one hand and a fig in the other. He toasts to no one in particular. To the divine cruelty of pleasure. May we choke on it laughing. A woman nearby claps lazily. To pleasure. Another adds. To choking. Someone coughs, someone moans, someone begins to sing off-key. You close your eyes again, and you dream, but not of escape. You dream of more silk, more mouths, more color, more things you didn't know could be done with feathers and oil. You wake up to someone licking your shoulder. You ask why. They say, "You looked unfinished." You thank them. Later you wander, barefoot, bare-minded. You pass a courtyard where people are playing a game called Touch or Truth. No one picks truth. Ever. A poet is reciting erotic prophecy while curled inside a ceramic jar. His assistant fans him with fish bones and throws coins into the crowd with every rhyme. You see someone getting a tattoo across their back, a map of Sodom in flames. The artist hums a lullaby and carves the street names backwards, and above it all the sun watches, bloated, distant, unblinking. But behind that light, clouds, thick, dark, gathering. No one looks up. They're too busy dreaming with their eyes open and their hands occupied. You sit again. Someone leans against you. Neither of you speaks. Sodom hums around you, sleepy, satisfied, and unaware of the sulfur just beyond the horizon. You hear him before you see him. The words come raw, not spoken, not sung, spilled like blood from a split lip. He's standing on a broken crate in the middle of the public square, dressed in sackcloth, covered in dust. Eyes wild like something that saw God naked and didn't blink. He shouts, "The fire is coming. You'll choke on your gold and scream into the ash. They warned us. They always warn us. We never listen. Nobody cares." A child throws a date pit at him. A woman laughs and says, "Oh, it's Thursday already." The crowd cheers as he rips his robe open, revealing nothing but bruises, scars, and a tattoo of a flame over his heart. It pulses. He looks directly at you. "You don't belong here." Then he smiles, "But you will." You walk away, because that's what everyone does. You pass 3 more prophets before the next alley. One sings, one writes in blood on parchment nailed to a goat, one just whispers to a handful of bees. You ignore them, because that's what you're supposed to do. Instead you follow the sound of clapping. A crowd surrounds something, no someone. In the center, a statue, human-sized, human-shaped, but too perfect. Eyes closed, lips parted, skin like polished marble. naked, naturally. This is Sodoma. Even art blushes here. But it breathes. You swear it moves. A man in feathers stands beside it, barking to the crowd. This is what happens when you feel too much. When you ask too many questions. When you pray, and someone actually answers. He kicks the pedestal. The statue opens one eye. Everyone screams, half in fear, half in orgasm. It's hard to tell anymore. The statue speaks, voice like thunder pretending to whisper. This city is a mouth. It devours all, even memory, even you. The crowd laughs. One man yells, "Do the thing where you cry blood again." The statue's eye leaks a single red tear. Applause. Art is suffering. And here, suffering sells. Underscore, 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 underscore. Ties, underscore, 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 underscore. You walk further into the quieter parts of Sodoma. You walk further into the quieter parts of Sodoma. No music, just breath. You pass a narrow street, lined with cages. Inside, animals, people, something in between. Some are singing, some praying, some waiting. A guard nearby offers you a drink and says, "Don't worry." Most of them wanted to be caught. You don't ask what for. You find another prophet. This one is silent, covered in mirrors. People walk by and spit at him, at themselves. One woman slaps the mirror and says, "You said I'd be beautiful. I believed you." You keep going. You stop, turn. He's gone. In his place a child, holding a burnt doll, eyes milky. She hands you something, a pebble, hot to the touch. You look down. It's a tooth. Yours. The sky changes, just slightly. Not dark, not yet, but the light bends wrong, like the sun is being questioned. You pass a tavern, where people are laughing too loud, overcompensating. They pour wine onto the floor. They scream toast after toast, to the gods who turned away, to the angels who stayed for the orgy, to fire, may it never come. One man toasts, to the truth, silence. Then someone slaps him with a fish. Everyone laughs. Truth is funny here, right up until it, but on your way back, you find the first prophet again. He's not shouting now, just rocking. He sees you.
He leans close, whispers, "You're starting to understand, aren't you?" You don't answer. You don't have to. Behind you, a statue cracks, and no one notices. You just notice a crack in the wall, where laughter slips out like steam. Someone whispers, "If you want the real Sodoma, go down." They say it like it's both a direction and a verdict. You follow the crack, down a stairwell carved into stone slick with moisture and things better left unidentified. The walls are veined, the air, wet, not humid, wet, like breath, like something waiting. You hear breathing that isn't yours. When you reach the bottom, the light shifts. It's not gone, it's pulsing. Moss glows green, candles flicker blue. The shadows don't follow your feet, they lead. Welcome to the pleasure dens. Here, nothing is forbidden. Here, everything is practiced. The first chamber is a pool, not of water, of oil, thick, dark, shimmering. Bodies float in it, slick as newborns, gleaming under faint torchlight. They writhe, they kiss, they disappear beneath the surface and return changed. A man on the edge licks oil from his fingers and moans like it's communion. A servant ladles it onto his back and rubs it in with a blade. Across the room, two women are blindfolded, dancing in slow circles, while someone reads them erotic scripture. Every verse makes them shudder. Deeper in the mirror room, you enter, and you are instantly multiplied. Dozens of you, watching. In each reflection, a different version of you. One stripped and bound, one laughing madly, covered in feathers, one kneeling in front of a masked figure, whispering more. The real you, the sweating, blinking, still slightly sane version, just stands there, watching all the versions that would say yes to things you haven't yet imagined. Behind you, a voice says, "Pick one, be it, or break it." You don't turn around, you leave. Another room, this one breathes. Literally, the walls are padded with furs, the ceiling moves like a lung. In the center, people sit in a circle, passing a bowl of crushed leaves and bone powder. You're invited in with a gesture and a smile too wide. You sit, you inhale, time flips. You remember a moment that never happened. You danced naked in the rain with someone who no longer exists. They kissed you and said, "Don't forget we were fire once." You open your eyes. Your body hasn't moved. Your hands are glowing. Someone claps. Good first trip. Further still, the chamber of names. Everyone here wears a mask. Nobody speaks. You walk among them and feel hands graze your skin. Fingers draw on your back. Lips trace words you don't understand but need to hear. You don't know what they're writing, but it hurts just enough. A masked figure offers you a necklace with a tag. It says a name. It's not yours, but when you wear it, everyone recognizes you. Smiles, touches, bows, and you answer to it. Without hesitation, you keep moving. The dens twist, they narrow, they drip, they laugh. You pass rooms where people are becoming art. A man covered in wax, breathing slowly, waiting to harden. A woman posing for an artist who uses teeth marks instead of charcoal. A couple locked in an embrace so still, you're not sure if they're alive or already statues. In one chamber, they auction scars like currency. A pale boy holds out his arms and says, "This one's from my first love." Who bids? Hands rise. The bidding is competitive. And finally, the final den. You enter. It's silent. One figure sits on a throne made of collapsed bodies, or cushions, or both. They speak. "Tell me something true." You hesitate. They nod. "That's what I thought." They rise. They walk to you. They touch your face. You've been above too long. You still think shame is a signal. Here, it's just noise. They lean in, lips to your ear. "Stay." You want to. You almost do. But something, a faint sound rises from the stairs above. Not laughter, not music. Thunder. You blink. The figure on the throne is gone. So are the bodies. So is the noise. Just you, and the rising heat. You climb back up, hand on stone, breath caught. You emerge, and the sky is no longer pink. It's red. By the time you reach the forum, the sun looks like it's sweating. The sky above Sodoma has darkened into a swollen bruise, but no one looks up. Everyone's far too busy winning. The city square has been turned into a festival, or maybe a trap disguised as one. Tents flap in the breeze, painted in red, gold and blasphemy. Flames flicker from iron bowls. Incense curls like snakes. There's laughter everywhere, too loud, too sharp, like it's afraid of silence. At the center stands a stage, crude, tall, and painted with faces, all grinning, all identical. A masked herald waves a crooked staff, and shouts with the voice of someone who drinks vinegar for breakfast. "Welcome, blessed filth and beautiful beasts, to the carnival of consequence." The crowd roars. You're pulled forward without touching anyone. The mood moves you, seductive and sickening. The rules are announced, but nobody listens. Every game is the same. Offer something, lose more, pretend it was worth it. The first game is Name the Sinner. A masked judge calls out an act. The players must admit to it, perform it, or lie convincingly. The winner gets applause. The loser gets stripped, painted in regret, and made the next round's prize. A man steps forward. "You once betrayed my brother for a woman," he says proudly. "Then I betrayed the woman for a mirror," he grins. The crowd gasps. The judge laughs. Double points. They crown him with a fish skeleton. He weeps. Everyone cheers. Next game. The flesh auction. Not people, scars. Each participant offers a mark, a wound, a permanent trace. One woman presents a burn on her thigh, shaped like a lover's handprint. She whispers, "I never put it out." Another displays a missing finger, and says nothing. The silence wins. A child walks up, shows a scar on his chest, and says, "My parents made me holy." The crowd murmurs. The auctioneer bows. Sold, to memory. Coins rain, none of them real. You pass a tent marked confession or dare. Inside, people whisper secrets into a mouth carved into the wall. It bites them gently. If they bleed, it's considered truth. Outside, a woman drinks a vial of something glowing, and then begins reciting the deaths she's caused, not by accident, but design. She finishes with, "And I still sleep well." A cheer rises. Someone hands her a bouquet of ashes. Further in, the chamber of laughter. You hesitate. Inside, contestants must laugh at everything. Insults, torture, prophecy. One man walks out, lips torn from too much smiling. He's crowned master of mirth. The next is not so lucky. A performer delivers a joke. What do you call a city with no future and no fear? Sodoma. The crowd howls. The man doesn't laugh fast enough. They throw him into the pool. It isn't water. You keep walking. A game master corners you. Painted gold. Teeth filed. Eyes too calm. Your turn, they purr. What's the game, you ask? They grin. Dare to feel something real. You hesitate. They nod. Didn't think so. They give you a token anyway. A smooth stone with your reflection in it. Except your reflection is smiling wider than you are. You stumble toward the outer ring of the square. Here, the games get worse. A man is nailed to a wheel. He spins. The audience throws questions instead of stones. Did you love her? Did you kill him? Do you still miss your childhood? Chancer earns a new nail. He never stops smiling. Nearby, a woman lets strangers choose which of her memories to burn. They write them on paper. She eats the ones she loses. She forgets her mother. She forgets her name. She remembers the taste of her first kiss and weeps until someone offers her a prize. A jar of someone else's dream. She drinks it. The crowd claps. You try to leave. Someone grabs your hand. Their voice is soft, terrified. Do you know what the last game is? You shake your head. They lean in. It's called Stay. In everyone plays it. You look around. No exits. Only stages. Only firelight. Only faces painted in joy that doesn't reach the eyes. Someone shouts behind you. Next the angel. The crowd explodes in laughter. You don't, because in that moment, you hear thunder, real thunder, and suddenly the joke isn't funny anymore. A low dry rumble rolls across the city like a drunk old god clearing its throat after centuries of smoking incense and bad decisions. No one flinches. In Sodoma, noise is just part of the background, like moaning, or the sound of coins hitting stone, or the occasional scream that turns into a song halfway through. But this sound, this one lingers.
A tremor, a pause.
As if the city, for the briefest moment, considered silence, and then like any addict confronted with a glimpse of sobriety, it panics and doubles down. You're in a plaza where people are playing truth or immolation. The rules are simple: answer the question honestly, or stick your hand in the flame. Spoiler, the liars burn faster. Everyone cheers. A masked boy steps up, barefoot, eyes hollow. The priest asks, "Do you still pray?" The boy doesn't answer, just reaches for the flame. Cheers erupt. Someone throws petals.
Deliverit. 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 Deliverit.
Someone points. Look, the sky's wearing lipstick. Laughter. Applause. A few claps of mock thunder from a troupe of street performers who clearly missed the memo that this time, it's real. You look up. The clouds churn, slow and deliberate. Not storm clouds, not natural. They don't roll. They watch. You turn to a merchant selling roasted doves on sticks. Maybe the gods are just cooking something again. He offers you a bird. You decline. He eats it whole, bones and all. On the temple steps, a woman in a dress made of broken jewelry stands tall. She raises her arms. Her voice cuts through the noise like a razor through velvet. This is a sign, a gift. She gestures to the sky. They remember us. They see us, and they're aroused. The crowd roars. People begin to chant. Let it burn. Let it bless. Someone lights a fire in a fountain. It erupts like it was waiting. Dancers throw themselves through the flames like children through puddles. One loses a toe, gains applause. In the alleyways, prophets come out like roaches, scratching the walls, scratching their own faces, drawing sigils in spit and blood. A naked man rolls through the street shrieking. It's here, the judgment, the climax, the kiss of extinction. Someone throws a bucket of wine at him. He drinks it through tears and says, "Tastes like repentance," then collapses, weeping into the cobblestones. Nobody moves to help. You return to the main square. Now there's a parade. Yes, another one. This time the theme is triumph over consequence. Men in golden masks carry a banner that reads, "Let the fire find us ready." Behind them, women in veils dance with snakes curled around their thighs. Behind them, children dressed as angels spit honey onto the ground. It's all very tasteful. A man beside you claps and says, "I love a city with confidence." You nod, even though your skin itches, and the air smells like prelude.
At the center of the parade is a figure, huge, crowned, faceless. They wear a robe of mirrors. It reflects everyone except the sky. In one hand a torch.
In the other, a book made of meat. They don't speak, they just point to the heavens. A thunderclap silences the crowd, and then the figure laughs. It's not a human sound. It's not even a god's. It's the sound you'd hear if irony had lungs and a megaphone. The crowd laughs too. Because what else do you do when the sky starts cracking like porcelain above your last party? A girl next to you, barefoot, painted with ash, grinning like she's in on the ending, tugs your sleeve. She whispers, "Don't worry, this isn't the end." You look at her. "It's not," you ask. She shakes her head. "It's the show before the end." She giggles and bites into a burning flower. Above, the clouds begin to glow, not with sunlight, with something older, something personal. The sky is no longer indifferent. It's looking directly at Sodoma. And Sodoma, it's posing. The sky has turned the color of a fresh bruise, something between regret and infection. And yet Sodoma continues, as if nothing has changed, as if the air isn't growing heavier by the minute, as if thunder isn't speaking in a language that makes bones itch. You walk through the city and watch it ignore its own death. A group of musicians plays a dirge they insist is a love song. The tempo is just fast enough to make people dance, just slow enough to make them wonder whether they're supposed to. No one bothers asking. Movement is a better distraction than fear. On a rooftop, a pair of lovers argue about whether the sky's color suits the season. "I think it's romantic," one says, tracing the other's collarbone with a fingernail stained in gold dust. "It's biblical," the other replies, smiling a little too widely. They kiss like people who want to forget what happens when the kissing stops. You pass a group of children drawing flames on the walls with chalk made of crushed bone and burnt fruit peels. One of them is humming what sounds like a hymn, but the melody is off, twisted, like someone took a prayer and taught it how to lie. "Does your mother know where you are?" you ask the smallest one, mostly out of habit. She looks up, eyes milky white and soft as candle wax. "She's inside," she says. "She's getting dressed for the fire." Someone nearby laughs, too hard, too long, at a joke you didn't hear. They collapse onto the cobblestones, gasping between giggles, blood trickling from the corner of their mouth. Nobody helps them up. A man walking by steps over their legs and says, "Well, better laughing than screaming." There's a procession now. You didn't see where it started, but it's here. Priests, nobles, dancers, drunks, all painted in ash, wearing veils soaked in rosewater and whatever was left of the last celebration. They carry torches, not lit for light, but for show, waving them at the buildings like blessings or warnings. It's unclear. In Sodoma, both are often the same thing. You watch as they kneel, not in prayer, but in performance. A high priestess, with lips blackened by charcoal, opens her arms and shouts, "Let the gods see what they made and weep for their own taste." The crowd answers with laughter, then with howls, and finally with silence that feels deliberate, cultivated, like a pause in a musical piece before the final movement. In a corner of the square, a man is sculpting a statue out of soap and ashes. When asked what it is, he says, "It's Sodoma, but smaller, so it burns faster." He sets it alight without looking away. You sit for a moment on a step that probably once belonged to a temple, maybe even a noble house, now just another ledge in a city that has rebranded death as extended pleasure. The stone is warm, from the sun, from fire, from the steady friction of skin, and beneath your hand, you feel it vibrating, like the city is humming its own funeral march under its breath. Someone beside you lights a pipe carved from bone. The smoke smells like memories you didn't make. They offer you a hit, you decline. They laugh and say, still clinging to clarity, "How quaint." They take a drag and vanish into the crowd. From somewhere deeper in the city, a scream rises, long, sharp, uncertain whether it's pain or pleasure. It ends in applause. You stand, because what else can you do? Far in the distance, a bell tolls, low, slow, off rhythm. Someone says, "That's not a temple bell." Someone else answers, "No, that's the countdown." A pause, then more laughter. You glance at the sky again. The clouds don't move, they ripple. The light has gone from gold to copper to something that has no name, only temperature. It settles on your skin like a premonition. You feel the city tighten, not visibly, not yet, but like an actor backstage, adjusting their costume before stepping into the final act. The mood has changed, but no one admits it. They drink faster, dance harder, kiss deeper, one last push against the inevitable, because even here, even now, the one thing Sodoma can't bear is to be boring. They're calling it a farewell party, but no one says what it's for, not out loud. The invitations are scented with myrrh and denial, printed in gold ink that flakes off like lies. Someone reads one aloud near you in a courtyard. To celebrate the unburnable spirit of Sodoma, dress extravagantly, die fabulously.
You giggle.
Finally, a party with stakes. You look around, the sky is redder than ever, pulsing like a warning light. The wind tastes like pennies and punishment. Buildings groan like they know what's coming. But the people, they're radiant. The streets are filled with music, something halfway between a funeral march and a burlesque act. Everywhere you turn, someone is toasting to their own destruction. A man climbs a fountain naked, holds up a bottle of sparkling crimson, and yells, "To the angels that passed us by, may they trip over their own halos." The crowd erupts in laughter. Someone throws a shoe. Someone else throws a lemon soaked in honey and spite. You sip wine poured by a servant wearing nothing but a bow tie and tattoos of the 7 deadly sins, all of which appear to be mislabeled. "Want a refill?" he asks. "I haven't even started," you say. He tops you off anyway. That's the spirit, or what's left of it. Nearby, a woman in a flamingo feathered gown challenges a senator to a debate over whether or not damnation is retroactively fashionable. He argues it is. She slaps him with a fan made of scrolls and says, "Then dress the part, darling, and comb your soul." A band plays, badly. That doesn't stop anyone from dancing like they've just been told gravity is optional for the next hour. At the temple steps, they're hosting a drinking contest between 2 high priests and an actual goat. The goat is winning. The crowd cheers every time it belches and knocks over a relic. Someone hands it a laurel crown. It eats it. Someone else writes, "Savior," across its back in lipstick. Across the square, a woman sets up a kissing booth titled "One Last Regret." The rules are simple. Tell her your biggest sin. She kisses you anyway. You pay her with something sentimental. Teeth are preferred, but a well-folded love letter will do. You watch a man approach. He whispers in her ear. She laughs so hard she falls off her stool. He walks away smiling, with a rose between his teeth and only one earring. There's a parade naturally, because why wouldn't there be? But this one's special. At the front, masked children throw ashes instead of petals. Behind them, acrobats on fire juggle flaming censers and scream inspirational quotes like, "You can't be judged if you die fabulous." A cart rolls past, bearing what looks like the actual Ark of the Covenant, except it's full of cake. 3 men in leopard skin togas cut slices for the crowd while humming hymns backwards. Behind them, a float bearing the inscription, "I apologize for nothing." On it, 4 women in golden veils grind against a column carved with commandments. No one stops them. Someone tips them.
A lot.
You pass a corner where street artists are offering apocalypse portraits. Sit down, get sketched, receive a dramatic rendering of what you'll look like mid-damnation. Yours shows you smiling, waving, surrounded by smoke and coins. You're holding a wine glass. It's cracked. You frame it. Someone climbs onto the plinth where a prophet once screamed warnings and declares, "I have seen the end, and it has great lighting." They're pelted with roses, coins and undergarments. An old man nearby sighs and says, "I've been waiting my whole life to die at a party like this." A young boy corrects him. "It's not dying, it's ascending." In style, they clink cups, and above it all the sky shudders. Not thunder this time, just heat, rising, coming closer, almost gentle, like a hand reaching down to check if you're still tender enough to roast. Someone shouts, "Fire's coming." Hugh's got the s'mores, and the crowd loses it. Laughter, screams, flute solos. A woman douses herself in perfume and climbs onto a balcony. "If I'm going to burn," she cries, "I want to smell like forbidden citrus." Cheers erupt. Someone throws glitter into the air. Someone else lights it on fire. Sodoma, burning before the burning, celebrating before the scream. You take another sip of wine. It tastes like endings and lipstick. You don't even flinch when ash lands in the cup. No one expected the apocalypse to have such good acoustics. It doesn't happen all at once. The sky doesn't split open with divine fury and instant death. That would be inefficient, and honestly, far too merciful.
No, the sky starts with sound, not thunder, not music, something in between, like a choir made of rusted metal and bad decisions. It rolls over Sodoma like a drunk aristocrat knocking over wine goblets and dignity. Long, deep, disapproving. It's not a roar, it's a judgmental sigh. The kind of sound your parents made when you told them you were exploring yourself with temple priests and scented oils. And for the first time the city hesitates. Just a flicker, a breath, a goblet mid-air, a laugh cut short, a pair of dancers freezing mid-spin, one of them still clutching a flaming candelabra shaped like a penis. And then, the crack. Real, physical, immediate. A jagged wound tears across the sky like a divine stretch mark. And Sodoma looks up. For the first time in generations, everyone stops to check if maybe, just maybe, the priests screaming about doom weren't entirely drunk. Spoiler, they were drunk. But also right. The light changes next. Not darkness. That would be elegant. Instead the sun turns the color of spoiled cream left too long in a bronze bowl. It pulses, sickly, as if the sky itself has caught a fever. And then the ash starts. It doesn't fall gently like snow in a sad poem. It slaps the ground. Sharp, hot, angry. One flake lands in someone's drink. The man blinks at it, then raises his cup. Cheers to flavor, he mutters, and downs the whole thing. The crowd laughs, mostly out of habit. A trumpet sounds, not the divine kind. A literal trumpet, badly played. A musician, bless his soul, soon literally tries to keep the party going. He belts out a tune best described as doom but danceable. He makes it through half a stanza before the horn melts in his hands. The crowd cheers, because of course they do. You pass a plaza, where someone, probably a former poet or a current lunatic, sometimes it's the same job. He's painting the sky with wine and screaming. It's a new dawn, a red dawn, a bloody beautiful dawn. His assistant hands him a fresh brush dipped in someone's blood. They keep going. In the temple district, a priestess stands on the altar and tries to regain control. She opens her arms and cries, "The Lord will spare us if we..." A bolt of fire slams into the spire above her. The temple explodes like a divine middle finger. The crowd gasps, then applauds. Someone yells 5 stars. Do it again. Buildings begin to crack. Not fall, not yet, but they groan. Stone twisting in ways it shouldn't. Gold melting at the edges. Statues sweating blood. And still someone is selling roasted figs. You walk past him. End of days special, he says. 2 for 1. Eternal damnation included. You buy one. It's good. Spicy. A child runs by, screaming with joy. She's holding a flaming doll, and laughing like the fire's a joke, only she understands. Someone nearby mutters, "Kids these days. No respect for the sacred." Another replies, "There's nothing sacred left. Only performance." A third voice, quieter, sharper, says, "Then let's at least give a good one." Farther up, near the governor's palace, nobles gather on balconies, dressed in their finest silk embroidered with prayers. No one believes anymore. Perfume thick enough to choke repentance. One noble raises a goblet and declares, "To survival." A gust of wind slaps the goblet out of his hand. It shatters against the railing. He stares at the broken glass, shrugs, and yells, "To improvisation. Laughter, always laughter."
Because what else is left? And then it comes. The sound. The real one. Not thunder. Not music. Not even fire. The sound of being seen. Not by neighbors. Not by the crowd. But by something older. The sky opens its mouth. You don't see teeth, but you feel breath. And it's not blowing. It's inhaling. Like a city-sized sigh. Right before a deep, irreversible swallow. Everyone around you looks up and smiles. Not out of joy, out of commitment. They've come this far. Why stop now? Someone strips naked, kneels on a fountain, and screams, "I've been a very good sinner." They are immediately struck by lightning. The crowd roars. Applause breaks out. A voice, amplified, warped, probably imaginary, bellows from nowhere and everywhere. Round 1 complete. And Sodoma, she curtsies. The first thing to fall is never the walls. It's the illusion that they mattered. The walls don't fall all at once. That would be far too clean, too efficient, practically tasteful, and Sodoma doesn't do tasteful. It unravels. It fractures with flair, collapses like a drunk diva, exiting the stage on her own terms. Overdramatic, underdressed, and loudly unapologetic. It begins with a single column, tall, fluted, smug, standing guard outside what was once a nobleman's villa, then a temple, then a brothel with celestial branding. The column groans like it knows it's overdue for a tragedy, and then, with the grace of a collapsing saint, it breaks clean through the balcony above, taking with it 2 potted palms, a statue of a goddess mid-orgasm, and a half-dressed man holding a bowl of custard, and no concept of gravity. The building doesn't scream. Sodoma's architecture never begs, it just exhales, a long haughty sigh, as the upper floors sink inwards like regret folding in on itself. From the debris, laughter erupts, spectators applaud. Someone yells, "Encore," from a burning window. Not far away, another structure, the former residence of a poet who once composed sonnets about incestuous angels, and was praised for his innovative courage, begins to tilt, slowly, casually, as if asking permission first. The balconies peel away one by one like layers of overcooked lasagna. A couple making love on the 3rd floor doesn't stop, they just change rhythm to match the crumbling tempo. When the final wall gives way, their silhouette is framed in dust and gold light, like a heretical fresco, a work of art, and a fire hazard. No one runs, no one screams. Sodoma is collapsing, and the citizens choose to dance through the ruins. Wine in one hand, someone else's thigh in the other, as if catastrophe were just another themed celebration, and structural failure was an aesthetic choice. On the main boulevard, a troupe of blind acrobats, barefoot, painted in verses from erotic scripture, continue their routine while the stage beneath them catches fire. One missteps, tumbles headfirst into a flaming banner, the others catch him mid-fall, spin him around, and hurl him into the crowd with a bow. The audience cheers, coins fly. No one seems to notice that one of the dancers is still on fire, and still, somehow, on beat. To the north, a bridge gives out over the river, a sacred river once, now a lukewarm soup of sewage, wine, and vague spiritual disappointment. The water begins to boil. A priest shouts, a sign of divine cleansing. Another, clearly drunk and pantsless, retorts, "No, that's just the city pissing itself one last time." The crowd laughs. The boiling continues. Someone hands out breadsticks. In the central square, the marble statues of long-forgotten gods begin to melt. Not collapse, melt. Their perfect smiles stretch. Their chiseled muscles droop. Their holy eyes drip down their cheeks. Children play in the puddles, sculpting new deities from divine runoff. One shapes a face with 8 eyes, and names it Gary. Worship begins immediately, and the buildings go down with personality. One explodes into a rain of stained glass and perfume. Another folds backward like a tired courtesan, collapsing into a puddle of self-worth and architecture. One elegant tower leans to the left and sighs. It topples gently onto a wine bar, killing 3, elevating 5, and blessing the crowd with a fine mist of cabinet and structural dust. No one even stops drinking. On the quieter streets, walls simply open themselves, as if exhaling centuries of secrets, and from within emerge the citizens, laughing, sobbing, bleeding, naked, adorned, high, bored, ecstatic. No one looks surprised, most look relieved, and through it all, through the fire and the bricks, and the slow disintegration of vanity rendered in limestone, there's a moment, yacht silence, not quite, but a hesitation, a breath the city takes not to ask for forgiveness, but simply to pose one last time before the lights go out. Because Sodoma doesn't go quietly, she goes gloriously, and even as her spine crumbles beneath the weight of her own spectacle, she smiles, not from madness, not from fear, but because, if she's going down, she'll make damn sure it's beautiful. What lies beneath Sodoma? Memory, sewage, and a surprising number of teeth. It begins, as many disasters in Sodoma do, with a smell, not a hint, not a whiff, a wall, an olfactory slap so thick and deliberate it might as well be a sermon. The kind of smell that tells you the city's bowels have decided to get involved in the finale. You're standing near what used to be the lower aqueduct, a marvel of engineering, once praised in 6 languages, and worshipped in 2, now burping up the soupy essence of collective amnesia. People gather, because of course they do. A river has formed, thick, dark, and shimmering with things that should not shimmer. It snakes through the cobblestones, with the slow confidence of something that's been stepped on for centuries, and is finally ready to step back. Nobody moves away. In Sodom, nobody moves away from spectacle.
Even when it stinks.
The river is made of, well, everything. It smells like forgotten sins, and looks like fermented regret. There are floating wigs, a half-melted mask, a severed finger holding what might still be a quill. One man claims to see his childhood floating by in a jar. Another corrects him.
Even the whence.
It's just a pickled eel. They laugh. The eel blinks. From the depths, bubbles rise and burst with soft wet sighs, like the city moaning in its sleep, trying to remember the name of its favorite perversion. The foam is pink. No one asks why. Someone,
Inevitably.
eel, pokes the sludge with a stick. The stick dissolves. He gets a round of applause and a flower crown made of wet feathers. He bows, modestly. He has no fingers left. A priestess arrives, barefoot and blindfolded, declaring the river to be holy. She steps into it up to the knees and begins to chant. The chanting ends shortly after her legs do. Nobody stops her. It's rude to interrupt worship. Further downstream, the sludge overflows into the meat market. The butchers cheer, not out of alarm, but because they no longer need to refrigerate. The fish sellers dip their wares into the flow and advertise them as blessed by ancestral bile. Customers line up. One woman requests extra slime. She's charged double. A troupe of dancers arrives wearing plague masks and stilts. They perform an interpretive piece called, "What if the river judges us but still wants to be friends?" Critics call it brave. The audience gives a standing ovation, mainly because their seats have dissolved. By midday,
Eel palls.
the river has taken over 3 streets, one minor temple, and what used to be a very fashionable bathhouse. Steam rises from its surface, hissing through broken tiles like the ghost of a dying kettle. The water is now warm and lightly carbonated. Someone bottles it and begins selling it as apocalypso essence. Now with extra guilt, people bathe in it, not for cleanliness. That ship sailed, burned, and was eaten by the river last Tuesday, but for absolution by osmosis. One man floats face down for 3 hours. He claims to have seen visions. More likely, he just saw the floor. You keep walking, on a bridge that is definitely not up to code. A small crowd watches the flow. There are debates about where it's coming from. Literal hell, a municipal accident, divine digestion. But the general consensus is this: if it hasn't killed you, it's art. A noble woman in heels made of pearl stands with a goblet in hand and remarks to no one, "I always knew the city would drown in itself. I just didn't expect it to look so expensive." A chunk of something, grey, lumpy, possibly ex-political, bumps against the bridge pillar.
Eel palls.
She raises her glass in salute and mutters, "Rest fabulously." No one grieves, but someone starts sketching the scene. By nightfall, the river of rot has its own following. Pilgrims smear themselves with it. Lovers carve their names into the crusted banks. Children play near it and dare each other to touch the bits that glow. A betting system develops. Limbs are lost. Coins are made. Someone builds a shrine from old chamber pots and bones. It collapses under the weight of misplaced reverence. No one is surprised, and all the while the river hums, not audibly, but in the bones, like it remembers every lie whispered behind curtains, every secret sold for silk, every oath broken during climax. The current doesn't rush. It waits, patient, inevitable, smiling. You realize this isn't a river, it's a mirror, and Sodom, as always, is looking straight into it and touching up its makeup. You don't fall into hell in Sodom. You descend, dressed for the occasion. The ground doesn't shake. It exhales, a soft, deliberate sigh, deep under your feet, like the earth finally tired of hosting Sodom's filth and decided to make room. The cobblestones beneath your sandals grow warm. Not fire, not yet, just the kind of heat that says, "We're almost done here." At first it's a crack, thin, precise, almost elegant, like someone carving an invitation into the belly of the city. Then another, then 20, and then quite suddenly, the central square begins to fold inward, not collapse, fold, like a stage being lowered for a new scene. The statues tip first,
bowing unintentionally as their bases sink. Fountains swallow themselves. The grand temple of excess breaks down the middle, both wings crumpling inward, like drunken lovers collapsing into each other for the final time. A priest throws his arms to the heavens, shouts something about deliverance, and is promptly consumed by his own pulpit. The crowd, of course, cheers. You'd expect screams, panic, survival instincts. But Sodoma was never built for survival. It was built for a climax. And this, oh, this is it. People gather at the edge of the widening sinkhole like it's the opening of a new opera. Some wear robes, some wear nothing. One woman dons a full headdress of feathers and ash and steps into the void with the grace of royalty boarding a yacht. There is applause. Coins are thrown after her. A nobleman makes a toast. To the abyss. May it find us well dressed and unrepentant. The ground splits further. Buildings groan, give in, and tumble inward, carried not by force but by invitation. Gravity feels more like persuasion now. Sodoma isn't being dragged into hell. It's walking there willingly, heels clicking on obsidian, veil fluttering in sulfur. A street performer juggles flaming skulls on the rim of the pit. He misses one. It rolls down glowing, then vanishes into darkness. He shrugs, bows, and follows it in. On the rooftops, couples embrace as the tiles beneath them slip away. One man offers his lover a kiss and a pearl. He whispers, "May we land stylishly." They fall together still lip-locked. And you just watch. There is no panic in your bones, no fear, only the hum of inevitability. You've seen this coming since you first woke up in Sodoma's silk-stained sheets, surrounded by laughter, wine, and the gentle smell of slow decay. You knew there would be no escape, only a final performance. The sky burns now, not with fire, but with color. Red so rich it hurts, gold so bright it's blinding. Something behind the clouds pulses, watching, or maybe just enjoying the view. At the edge of the pit, the last square of solid ground holds what remains of the city's finest: perfumed dancers, broken politicians, retired whores, failed prophets, half-melted aristocrats, all raising their glasses in a synchronized toast as the stone crumbles beneath their feet. And still, no one screams. Not because they're brave, because Sodoma has never believed in tragedy without style. The final building to fall is the governor's palace. It topples with dignified grace, its gold trim catching the last shaft of light, like a crown mid-flight. As it disappears, the orchestra, yes, there's an orchestra, plays one final chord. Flat, wrong, perfect. You stand on a rooftop, or what's left of one. The tiles crumble beneath you, and still, you don't move. There's nowhere to go, and even if there was, would you really leave before the curtain call? No, not you. The wind rises around you, hot and fragrant with ruin. From the pit below comes not fire, not scream, but laughter, deep, old, honest, and you smile, because you understand. Sodoma isn't being punished, it isn't being destroyed, it's consuming itself, as it was always meant to. One final act, a city folding into its own legend. As you fall, arms open, air catching the firelight, mouth tasting ash and euphoria. The last thing you see is the skyline, twisted, burning, glorious, and above it, carved into the smoke, a single phrase, in letters made of everything Sodoma was. At least it was never boring.
If you're still here, really here, after everything, then I want to thank you. Not politely, not formally, genuinely. You've sat through crumbling columns, melting temples, wine-soaked blasphemy, and orgiastic despair, and still, you didn't blink, you didn't run. Maybe you even laughed. And if so, you understood Sodoma perfectly. Because this was never about judgment. Not really. It was about what happens when the masks come off, and no one pretends they weren't enjoying the performance. You've walked barefoot through ash, listened to statues whisper, watched priests self-destruct with poetry in their throats, and instead of closing the book, you turned the page. You didn't need saving. You wanted the story. And that makes you one of them, one of us. Sodoma was never meant to last. It was meant to be remembered, not for its holiness, but for how spectacularly it failed with a smile on its face and oil on its skin. But don't get too comfortable in the ruins. This was just the first descent. You've seen the city that laughed while it burned. Now in the not-so-distant future, you'll be invited to meet her twin, the one who watched Sodom fall and thought, we can do worse. Gomorrah is waiting, and she's not just corrupt, she's refined. She'll whisper instead of scream, seduce instead of demand, and rot from the inside out with a glass of cold wine and perfect posture. So stay close, because when the second act begins, I want you in the front row, dressed in velvet, already guilty, and grinning like you know the ending. Until then, I'll leave you with the fire. It crackles softly now, as if pretending to be harmless. Let it warm you, let it lie to you. That's what it's best at. And as you drift into whatever passes for peace after this kind of journey, just remember, it was never about surviving Sodoma. It was about belonging to her. Good night. Stay filthy. Stay fabulous. I'll see you in Gomorrah.